Battle for Azeroth ended, there was never really a peace deal. All we got was a ceasefire, kingdoms kept falling, new kingdoms have risen, there is a ton of resentment going on. At the same time, the Sword of Sargeras is still there, and the fate of our world soul is uncertain, while many speculate a possible time skip after this expansion. So, what will happen to Azeroth while we're away in the Shadowlands, and what will await us as we return? I'd like to thank Ridge Wallet for sponsoring this video. They've sent it to me about 6 months ago and it is amazing. You can put in 12 cards, you can put cash on the side, and it is just so much more practical than a regular wallet. There are over 30 colors and styles including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. There is a lifetime warranty and a test drive for 45 days, meaning if you don't love it, you can send it back. If you go to ridge.com/Doron, you can get 10% off as well as free worldwide shipping. Check out the link in the description below. To say that the political situation of Azeroth is complex at the moment is an understatement to say the least. The massive war that happened quite recently did reach an armistice, a ceasefire, but we never actually got like a peace deal or a conclusion, as this Shadowlands thing just sprang out of nowhere. Sure, we all realized that Sylvanas had manipulated everything, but I don't know if that damage can just simply be forgiven. Teldrassil was completely destroyed, most of the other Night Elven territory was burned to the ground, many lost their lives, and regular Horde participated in that despite being manipulated and controlled by Sylvanas. We can talk about all the kingdoms, the details, and what is going on Azeroth in a different video, but now let's get to the meat of it, like what are the actual boiling points that could explode at any point, and what could await us as we return from the afterlife to the actual life. In reality, we got a few key elements: faction wars, void, light, world soul, and the jailer. In terms of the factions, the Horde was destroyed by yet another civil war and is now ruled by a council, which may help with reconciliation, but it is hard to make a decision when you got a dozen people deciding equally, so I see Horde as unstable, especially with all the losses they have suffered thus far. However, a lot of things hint right now that the Alliance also isn't really as stable, or at least as it was throughout the years, as they too suffered a lot. First off, they lost Varian, their uniting figure during Legion, and now their king Anduin is being tortured in Torghast. Turalyon is the current supreme commander of the Alliance on Azeroth, and there really seems to be a lot of potential internal division. Fundamentally, I think there are two opposing currents, one leading towards peace and the other towards Alliance expansion. The most important bit are the Night Elves. They are just furious to say the least. Tyrande is hell-bent on revenge, and I somehow don't really see them like regular Night Elves, just accepting that, oh yeah, this was just Sylvanas that did this. The second most important bit is that the Forsaken were mostly shattered, and at this point, the undead in general are barely even present in the Eastern Kingdoms. First off, Scourge was almost entirely wiped out, and the Plaguelands have been all but cleansed by this point, and Undercity, the capital of Lordaeron, was destroyed, but most importantly for the Alliance, the Forsaken are no longer there. Second, the closest kingdom to them, Stromgarde, won this war and they're now a regional power. It has also been a long time since Gilneas was in ruins, so it can finally be brought back to life as well in this new expansion. Practically, what all of this means is that the Alliance is really starting to solidify their power in the north, while the Forsaken presence is at an all-time low, which means perfect time to strike. My thoughts are that the Alliance will want to capitalize on this opportunity and to finally restore Lordaeron to its former glory. As Turalyon is definitely more of a zealot as opposed to Anduin, I feel like this could be accomplished, but it could lead to a lot of future conflict, and without Anduin as the mediating factor, this could just spiral into complete chaos. I really hope there wouldn't be another Horde Alliance war expansion, as that would just be too boring, but it could lead to the Alliance itself splitting, which could be first or just factions breaking up in general. The second big point is the Void and the Light. This is super hard to speculate right now, as we don't know how the Shadowlands will progress, but if these two forces get introduced at the end, it could lead to them transferring to Azeroth in the next expansion. As you all know, every force in the universe wants our world soul, as it is incredibly powerful. It is hard to say how the Void could interfere right now, although we all expect that expansion eventually, but with the Light, there are real possibilities that could happen happen right now. We've learned that the light, while righteous, is kinda crazy, and they're really not as benevolent as we used to think. They don't just heal, they can also do damage and invade, and invade they do. First off, Turalyon, one of the main servants of the Army of the Light, is leading the victor of the previous war, the entirety of the Alliance army, so that could be their entry point. We know that the Light has overtaken alternate Draenor, and there is an entire army down there just beyond the portal of zealous citizens of Draenor that could definitely be unleashed at any point. Now, the other two really interesting points are the World Soul and the Jailer. The Jailer said that death is coming for our World Soul, so he's obviously interested in her. We know that Azeroth was hit hard by the Sword of Sargeras, but as we fix that, she should be on her way to recovery right now. However, the gigantic sword is still there, it is still in Silithus. I feel like this weapon will mean a lot more. It isn't just there for the aesthetic purposes. It could also possibly be used as a conduit for some other force, maybe the Jailer or the Void, and the sword literally reaches the World Soul directly. So if you wanted to reach Azeroth, if you wanted to access it, you got a needle right there. It is still unclear why Sargeras stabbed the planet, but maybe he knew about the Jailer and wanted to end Azeroth before the Jailer could reach her, so Jailer getting into Azeroth is also a possibility. There are speculations that he wants to turn Anduin into a Lich King for a second coming to utilize the power of the World Soul to summon him directly, but at the moment, that is really just a wild shot in the dark. It is hard to say at the moment, due to the story of the Shadowlands still being in early development, but at least we can speculate at the moment. All of this is, of course, topic for what will happen next. I think the World Soul is literally the key to everything, not just like the expansions, but the key to the entire Warcraft universe. What I feel like will be a huge possibility is a time skip. Many have talked about this, but as you might know, time tends to travel differently in different planes. Turalyon spent centuries with the Army of the Light, while he was only gone for decades on Azeroth, and time is not even a thing in the Death Realm. So it is entirely possible that once we finally get back to Azeroth, that 10-20 years could pass and that we could just return to that faction war I mentioned, or just a completely different world than we left, which just gives Blizzard open hands to literally add whatever they really want in a future expansion. I think this would be ideal for Warcraft really, as they could completely reshape the story, and most importantly, we could have a new Cataclysm where all of the old zones would get new looks and they could just update everything. A time skip could also get us to return to a Void versus Light War on Azeroth directly, or an invasion from either of these forces separately. At the moment, all of this is of course speculation, but those are some of the key points that Blizzard can easily utilize to progress World of Warcraft. Thank you for watching. Check out the 8 most notorious Void Lord invasions that we know of by clicking on the screen, and also check out Doronsmovies Academy for videos on real world history and science. See you next time.